Hamburgers. One of my favorite things to eat. I could eat these almost every day of the week. I'm a huge fan of burgers, and cooking them sous vide allows me to get the perfect doneness every single time. We're going to dive into everything you need to know about sous vide hamburgers coming up next on Amazing Food Made Easy. Hey there, I'm Jason Logston from Amazing Food Made Easy and president of the International Sous Vide Association. And I'm excited today to be talking about sous vide burgers. They're one of my favorite things to eat. And a lot of people say, well, why sous vide? Why would you sous vide a burger when you can just throw it on a hot grill, cook it for a few minutes, and you're good to go? There's a few different reasons that I really like using sous vide. The first is that you can pasteurize your burgers at a low temperature. This means you can have a medium rare burger that's perfectly safe to eat. You don't have to worry whether or not the ground beef was contaminated, whether there's something wrong with it. You're cooking it till it's safe to eat, even at a lower temperature. So that's one of the reasons that I love it, is for that peace of mind, because I prefer like a medium rare to medium burger, and those can be unsafe with traditional methods. But with sous vide, you can pasteurize it at those temperatures, and you know that you're good to go. And I like that especially at parties. I can cook all the burgers ahead of time. I can chill them in an ice bath. Then when the time for the party comes, I can just throw them on a grill, cook them really quick, but I already know they're safe to eat and they're fully cooked all the way through. Removes all the stress from my side, and I can cook up some great burgers every single time. The final reason I really like sous vide for burgers is for thick burgers. Sure, if you have a burger that's one of those half-inch burgers, throw it in a cast iron pan and give it a quick sear. They're always cooked well done anyway, even though they're still really juicy and flavorful, but you don't get a lot of benefit from sous vide. When you're talking about one of those thick burgers, like an inch thick, those are hard to cook, right? Throwing that on the grill and getting it to cook evenly all the way through is really, really hard. With sous vide, you can cook it the perfect doneness, edge to edge, no bullseye effect, and you know that it's heated all the way through perfectly. That means that you can just throw it on a hot pan, a hot skillet, and just give it a little sear on the outside, and your burger is going to be perfect every single time. That's why I turn to sous vide for all my burgers and a lot of my ground meats in general. Because even though we're talking about hamburgers, which is beef, you can use the same thing for a lot of different types. My partner at the ISVA does a lot of bison burgers and lamb burgers, and you can use the types of things that we're talking about now to cook any sort of ground meat patty. One thing before we dive into the actual process of sous videing burgers, remember that quality matters. While your local butcher or grocery store might have some good meat, if you want something special, you can check out some of my favorite companies online, like Porter Road, Allen Brothers, and Snake River Farms. They all sell ground beef that is amazing. Some of it's dry aged, and it just has a lot more flavor than the very, very lean grocery store ground meat. So what is the best time and temperature for sous vide burgers? Really no correct answer. It really depends on what type of hamburger do you like. Do you like a medium rare, red in the middle? Do you like it a little more in between medium rare and medium, that it's pink and it's really starting to hold together a lot better? Or do you prefer a little more well done? With sous vide, you can set it to the exact temperature you want. It's going to turn out perfectly every time. I like my burgers at about 135 to 138. They're still red on the inside, reddish pink, but they still have a lot of that juiciness, which is one of the things I love about burgers. A lot of people like going a little bit lower in the 131 range. And if you want to go rare, you can go down to 125. At that point, you're not pasteurizing it. So you want to make sure that your meat is high quality and you're not cooking it for too long. And if you prefer a more well-done burger, you can go up to 140, 150, and you're going to get that well-done texture and flavor without overcooking it too much. So it'll be juicier than it would be if you're using a traditional method still. For the exact time, you can either just heat it through or pasteurize it. In either case, you can use the sous vide heating and pasteurization charts. I have some on my website. Douglas Baldwin has kind of the definitive ones as well. So you can check those out, but it's usually going to be between 2 and 3 hours, depending on how thick your food is and the temperature you're cooking it at. So what is the process for sous videing a burger? It's pretty easy. The first step is to prep your meat, just like you would if you're making normal burgers. Make them into patties, add any salt or spices, garlic powder, onion powder, whatever you're looking to get in it. Maybe you're making a Juicy Lucy and you're putting some cheese in the middle of it, or a blue cheeseburger with cheese in the middle. There's lots of ways to make stuffed burgers, but however you prepare your patty, get it all together like you normally would. And if you have frozen patties, you can use those as well. Just increase the cook times by about 40%. Or a lot of the sous vide pasteurization charts do have from frozen on there, so you can get a better feel. But it's about 40% more than unfrozen would be. No need to thaw it. You can just throw it directly into the sous vide machine. Once you have the patties formed, it's time to seal them. Now, while I love my chambered vacuum sealer because it does such a tight seal, it a lot of times crushes burgers. And so you don't want to pull a hard vacuum. So an edge sealer or even Ziploc bags with a water displacement method can help a whole lot. One thing a lot of people also do is they'll use food safe molds. There are these metal rings that you can use to portion out burgers, and they'll use those in the bag to make sure that it prevents the crushing of it. Especially if you have a thicker patty, you don't want to smash it down when you're trying to seal it. So do a little bit of a lighter seal, and then make sure when you are sealing it that your burgers are in a single layer. One, so they don't stick together and get pushed into each other. But two, in a single layer, the cook times that you're going to be looking up in the pasteurization charts are correct. If you start stacking your food, then it increases the cook times exponentially, which is something we don't want, especially with burgers. Next step is to set the water bath temperature to whichever you picked. Like I said, I like 135, 138, depending on the thickness of the burger and what I'm looking at doing, but set it to whatever you want. You don't really have to preheat the machine, though a lot of people do it, but the extra 10 to 15 minutes of heat time, your food's also heating during that time, so it's not really going to affect the end results that much at all. Put the bag in the water bath, and for best results, make sure that it's all under the water. If anything's sticking up, it could be unsafe. And a lot of people ask, what's a good machine? I use Polyscience Hydro Pro Plus. It's a little overkill for a lot of home cooks, but I love it. It's, I think, the best machine out there. Anova also makes good machines. Vesta makes good machines. And the Joule is another one of my favorites that I recommend and have used a lot. You now just let the meat cook until it is pasteurized or heated through whatever you're trying to accomplish. At that point, you can then either remove the bags from the water bath, chill them in an ice bath, and then store them in the fridge until your party happens, and then you just reheat them really quickly, or you can move on to the actual finishing point. With finishing burgers, there's not a lot to it. They are burgers, so you just want to sear them quickly. You can use a hot grill, a cast iron pan with a little bit of oil in it. Pretty much anything that you would normally cook a burger on, you can use to finish your burgers. Now remember, the inside is currently the perfect temperature. You don't want to raise it. So you can either let them sit on the counter for a little bit longer to cool off. You can chill them in a cold water bath, in which case gives you even a longer sear time if you want even more of a crust. Or you can just make sure that you do it very, very quickly over high temperatures. I usually let mine sit on the counter for 10 to 15 minutes to cool off a little bit, and then I'll sear them quickly on a really hot grill or in a cast iron pan. That's kind of my go-to because I'm much more worried about just getting a little crust on it and making sure the inside temperature is still perfect. If you want a really, really hard crust, then you're going to want to chill it a little bit longer before you do that searing. And now it's time to serve your perfect burger. You can serve it with whatever toppings you normally put in your burgers. I love cheddar cheese and a nice thick slab of bacon. But a pro tip for all you sous viders is you can use sous vide bacon on your burger, and it's going to be very, very crispy, and it removes a lot of the chew from it. And so it's this succulent, really, really fatty, rich bacon. So that's a great, like, thick cut bacon that you can use on your burger. Whatever sides, lettuce, tomato, onion, ketchup, mayonnaise, if you're into that kind of thing, mustard, whatever toppings you love on your burger, throw them on there and you're ready to go. That's all there is to making a delicious, perfectly cooked sous vide burger. I'm going to link up below my favorite simple sous vide burger master recipe. You can use that to ensure that you make perfectly cooked burgers every single time that you can then take in whatever burger direction you love. It works well for beef burgers as well as pork, bison, elk burgers. It really is a great base recipe for you to go in pretty much any direction you're looking. And now you have all the information you need to make sure you churn out perfectly cooked sous vide burgers every single time. You can wow your friends and family and be the hit of your next barbecue. Let me know below in the comments if you have any questions. I'm always happy to answer anything that might come up. And you can also post your results in our Exploring Sous Vide Facebook group there. There's over 40,000 passionate sous vide cooks there. You can access that at afmeasy.com/Facebook. Till next time, I'm Jason Logston.